Hello again, or, well, again if you've seen my other video on backgrounds. And this is Light Sourcing 101. Tool shading, of course, because that is what I do. And that is what I'm the best at teaching, because that's what I've done for most of my time in the dolling world. So, let's start off by just letting you know that, well, my computer kind of deleted the first half of this tutorial, so I will go back and show you in detail after this part is done about the parts that you missed, but it's not really that complex. As for what I'm doing right now, basically with the hair, you're doing everything with respect to the light source. So you're going to end up with you know, you have your light bulb, which I drew a handy dandy little light bulb over there to the right, and basically everything, your brightest highlights are going to be on the side facing that light source, and your darkest shadows are really going to be away from that. But don't forget that there are other shadows that create the 3D effect even though you're working with a two-dimensional medium. All that artistic language is basically to say it's a flat screen, but you want it to look not flat, right? So hopefully I can help you with that. I'm still learning about some of these things myself, but hopefully we can learn together. As you can see, what I did there first was created the shadows, and then basically I just made it darker where her part is, and then I made it go out from there and drew the individual strands, or enough to make it look like the idea of strands, and then I created the highlights on top, and of course I put the brightest highlights right directly across from the light source, because and also in almost like a kind of crown pattern around her head to make it look more 3D, because at that point what you're looking at is, you know, the 3D effect, and in order to do that you not only want a light source by putting your light on that side, but also by creating the effect of a three-dimensional object, namely her hair. So that is basically the basic idea. I mean, this isn't a hair tutorial, so I'm not going to tell you every little thing. Now it's kind of moved on to the shading of the base, so I took the paintbrush tool and I picked the darkest color, and I'm using it to fill in some of these shadows, because even though you have light sourcing on the clothes and the hair and the shoes and accessories even, if you don't shade the base, it's going to look really dumb. So, I hate to break it to all you people who don't like to shade bases, you should learn, because it's good, and trust me, you'll be a better dollar for it, and you'll eventually stop hating me for making you do this for this class. I hope you'll stop hating me. So anyway, I'm editing her nose a little bit. I don't like the way that it's, you know, broad all the way up to the top. If you give it just a little bit darkness there and then grade it into the light, it makes it look a little more 3D. Now I'm smudging everything. As you can see, like, you can watch what I was doing as far as the cheekbones and that is concerned. You can omit those, you can change that however you like, it's up to you. Basically I'm just taking the original base colors and amping them up a little bit and using them to create shadows from the clothing, accentuating the neck muscles, the collarbone. Cheekbones especially, they really give a doll her character. If she looks like a real person, it's, you know, it's more convincing, it's more interesting, and so that's what you're really going for, is, you know, a realistic type effect, even on something as stylistic as a doll. So, and I'm using the doll in the Hilltop Factory's base because everybody uses it or has used it sometime, and so it's easy to refer to, plus it has about a bajillion poses, and so that makes it easy. So basically I'm just smudging here. I use the smallest brush, the 1 pixel size brush, to smudge the face, because those features get really muddy if you don't use that size brush. Then I use the bigger one for the body, because I'm going for broader overall shadows more than specific small sharp shadows like on the face. And, you know, shadows underneath the pants. Please, 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 when you are doing a skirt, do a shadow on the legs, or, you know, around where the sleeves go. Do a shadow, because that makes it just look like it's supposed to be there. Otherwise, it's like, you know, everybody who looks at that knows that you didn't pay it quite as much attention to it as you really could have. And so it just makes you look better, and it makes the whole doll look better, and it's pleasing to the eye, of course. And sometimes people don't really realize what it is that they find so fascinating about your doll, but they do understand that what they're looking at is very interesting, and it's very realistic in that sense. So just continue to, you can smudge and change things as you like. Of course, I have the lock transparency pixels selected, which means that even when I smudge on that layer, the layer where the base was, that it wouldn't go outside the lines of where the original image goes. So it wouldn't go outside of her leg, even though I was smudging, so it would be able to smudge all the stuff I did without creating a problem there. Now, as you can see, we have moved on to the shoes. This is just a really quick example, and it's kind of crappy too, but it's the basic idea behind the shoes. You, again, want to create the 3D effect, so you're going to go around all the roundest edges, especially the things at the edge of the shoe. So the heel, where you know that it's curving around behind her foot, and the toe, where you know that it's curving around in front of her foot. All those places where you know that it's continuing, you show it by creating a shadow, and then on the places where it comes out and where you want it to look rounded up towards you, you're going to add those highlights. It's the basic principle. Okay? And I didn't go any farther than that because that's all the farther I really needed to go. But basically, as you can see, dragging that light source around, that is the basic idea there. Here's the part that I promised you about showing the affectation not only on the hair but on the clothes. Now, I'm kind of messing around here at the beginning, but basically what I'm trying to do is circle the area that's most affected by the light. So the side where you'd put the brighter highlights, you don't have to use all, I use 4 colors, 2 for shading, 2 for highlight, and 1 for fill in the middle, but the 4 highlight and shading colors, you don't have to use them on every little part. You want to use the brightest on the closest to the light source and the darkest on the farthest away from the light source. So I'm selecting the parts where you'd want to use the brightest highlight colors on the shoes, the hair, and the clothing as well. And it kind of shows where the light's going to fall. And obviously, now I'm showing you where the dark parts are, where the places where the light is not going to shine, at least according to our light source, which is top right, as I had indicated throughout the rest of the tutorial. So this is the kind of places where there's an arm over the shirt you can't see, and there is darkness. You're going to use those darker colors right in those little niches, but don't overuse it, otherwise it will make your image flat. And flatness is your enemy. Flatness makes you want to run and scream and hide. So, we want to do it right. Who wouldn't want to do it right, right? Okay, no flatness, 3D effect. Shadows on both sides, but the darkest, of course, are going to be the farthest from the light. Now, if I haven't pounded that in your head, don't worry, because there's more lessons to come. Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope you learned something, and I hope we can continue to learn together. Bye-bye.